Are we connected?
Yes.
Am I audible clearly? Because I'm not using microphone.
Yes. I was trying from yesterday. Kavita Srivastava has agreed.
Everybody
I have sent the mail to
Comrade, please
you.
mute the other speakers.
Just see that her name is also included. And other things, of course, books and all that. I talked to your assistant in Delhi. That thing is going on. So about this, Kavita has agreed. So just let Amu. No, she doesn't write, but she will send us the circulars and important things related to human rights.
Comrade, that's a personal conversation. Please mute the conversation.
Yeah, she's. Yeah. So you can ask Amu. I have given her email and her phone number. She can directly coordinate with her.
Are we ready to start?
Yeah, now it is live. Huh?
Okay.
I think he is on phone.
Yes. We have another 2 minutes. Yeah. So friends and comrades, the topic of today's webinar is Dr. Ambedkar and Challenges before Caste Annihilation today. It has been organized by Caste Annihilation Movement and Revolutionary Cultural Forum. Tomorrow is December 6th. It marks the 64th death anniversary of B.R. Ambedkar and the anniversary of the demolition of Babri Masjid. The demolition of Babri Masjid was not just the destruction of a masjid, but destruction of the progressive and secular values this country has stood for since independence. It is an attack against all such structures that stand against the fascist Manuvadi ideals of the right-wing conservatives, as we can see happening in the case of Mathura and Varanasi. With the allegations of love jihad and laws being passed to curb it, and the increasing atrocities against Dalits, the BJP government seems to be hell-bent on destroying everyone who comes into their way of taking the Hindutva agenda forward. As we speak, thousands of farmers are protesting on the roads of Delhi in protest against the Farmers' Bill 2020 and Electricity Bill 2020 enacted by the central government under the disguise of COVID pandemic. These bills will put an end to MSPs and will leave farmers at the mercy of the corporates. And today they have reached the 10th day of their protest. The government seems to be least bothered or interested and is talking out new plans to block the farmers from disrupting the comfort of their power. On December 8th, the farmer organizations have called for a Bharat Bandh, and we, the Caste Annihilation Movement and Revolutionary Cultural Forum, expresses our strong support and solidarity for this bandh. Now, coming to the topic of caste. In Karnataka, the government has decided to set up barber shops after upper caste persons refuse to cut hair of Dalits or ban those shops which are providing the service to the Dalits. In Mysore, a barber was socially boycotted and asked to pay a fine of 50,000 rupees by the leaders of the village for cutting the hair of SC/STs. In Gujarat, a Dalit army jawan's marriage procession was attacked by upper caste people because he was riding a horse. In Hassan, Dalit families have sought police security after they entered a temple, and social boycott has been declared against them. And it is also reported that the upper caste have resolved to impose a fine of 10,000 rupees on those who talk to those families. In Hathras, a Dalit girl was gang raped, her tongue pulled out, her spinal cord broken, and her body burned by the government so as to cover the evidence of the crime. These incidents reveal that clearly caste is not a thing of the past. It is like a background noise that is always there. When we eat, when we drink, go to get a haircut, go to school or college, go to workplace, decide to get married, or even after our birth. after her death. The other day, I went to a government official's house. They were surprised when I had food there because they said that their upper caste colleagues would not share water with them. And this, I'm talking of a government official. I also heard from his wife, who's a doctor in the rural areas where she worked, the low caste women do not have the right to say no to an upper caste man who wants to have sex with her. In the comment boxes of news articles on rape of low caste women in social media, we regularly see comments like, the upper caste man would never want to pollute himself by touching a low caste woman. She must have gone to him. In the movie Akrosh by Govind Nihlani, we saw Amrish Puri portraying the character of a lawyer who belongs to the low caste say things like this, that is women of low caste getting raped by their upper caste employers. These things happen all the time, but you do not have to make a big deal out of it. The movie reminds one of To Kill a Mockingbird, the book on racism by Harper Lee, that was later made into a movie, which criticizes racism in the United States and makes one think, isn't casteism India's own version of racism? In colleges, students who belong to lower castes are called by their caste names, regularly reminding them of where they belong, of how they are not supposed to be at the temples of knowledge. The case of Rohit Vemula is not much far behind us. Most of our cuss words are either casteist or sexist, and we don't even know how it came to be so when we use them. According to Manusmriti, one occupation only the Lord prescribes to the Shudra, to serve meekly even these other three castes. That is from chapter 1, 91st verse of Manusmriti. And servitude for eternity, that is the only duty prescribed to the lower caste. And it's the same Manusmriti that the right-wing government is at present is trying to replace the constitution with. When I came to North India for the first time, I used to be faced with this question constantly: what is your surname? And when I say my surname, they would ask me, what does it mean? Don't you have caste-based surnames in the South India? Because only after knowing my caste would they be able to decide whether to treat me as someone inferior or someone at par with them. Because when it comes to finding homes or finding a mate, your caste decides everything. There are many multi-story apartment complexes which do not let out apartments to the lower caste or Muslims, for they intend to keep the purity intact. Have you ever noticed that most of our main characters of our films are always upper caste? We hear Mishra, Sharma, Tripathi, Chaturvedi, etc. But rarely do we hear the voices of those lower castes, except in parallel cinemas. We don't see them, we don't hear them, we don't want to have anything to do with them, except when we need our drains cleaned or get our shoes repaired. These fault lines have been further aggravated since 2014, after the right-wing BJP government came into power and started imposing the Brahminical codes of food and dressing. We saw how in Unnao and Hathras, the upper caste Hindus came to the support of the perpetrators of those heinous crimes against low caste women. We see that atrocities against the low caste have risen since the BJP came to power. Also, according to Quest for Justice, a report released by the National Dalit Movement for Justice, on an average, 88.5% of cases under the Prevention of Atrocities Act remain pending during trial during 2009 to 2018. And also, the government is trying to replace the constitution with Manusmriti, a move under the guidance of the RSS theoretical base to further the agenda of a Hindu India, a book which demeans and takes away the dignity of Dalits. And it is from this context that we enter the topic of our discussion, Dr. Ambedkar and Challenges before Caste Annihilation Movement today. Caste Annihilation Movement was formed in 2012 with the following objectives: to organize continuous campaigns for revolutionary land reforms in order to transform the economic base which perpetuate the caste system, to struggle against all efforts to attack intercaste and interreligious marriages in the name of love jihad, to campaign for equal and compulsory education, housing, healthcare, and employment to all, to campaign for reservation in education, employment, and promotion in both public and private sectors, and campaign against creamy layer reservation based on economic status, which dilutes these rights, to campaign against all sort of caste oppression, suppression, and discrimination in all forms of life, including practicing untouchability in any form, to join hands with all progressive forces in a campaign against the existing caste and communal domination, which imposes dress and food codes, denying the right to consume beef and pork to Dalits and other oppressed sections. Tomorrow, we mark the 64th death anniversary of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the framer of our constitution, but more than that, a foremost leader in the fight for caste annihilation. And at a time when the crimes on the basis of caste are increasing like never before, Ambedkar and his ideas seem more relevant. At the time when Ambedkar came out with his ideas of caste annihilation, India had not gone through liberalization and globalization. Nor was there the concept of identity politics, which seems to be eating through the struggle against caste oppression. Ambedkar's own name is used by different organizations which later joined hands with the Brahminical forces, thus demeaning the entire objective. Neo-Ambedkarites movements abound mainly for political gains, with different caste groups holding on to their caste to further their agendas. The task of caste annihilation seems to have become even more difficult. Even the right-wing forces take up the name of Ambedkar and still go on with their agenda of oppressing the Dalits and the minorities. The time is critical. Because the society at large seems to be getting more and more polarized in the name of religion and in the name of caste. Those who express solidarity with the victims and oppose the Hindutva agenda are branded urban exiles or anti-nationals by the government and the media. It is at this juncture that we have to find a way forward in achieving the goal of caste annihilation using Ambedkarite ideals. To shed more light on this topic, we have with us as keynote speaker, Dr. Puniyani, who is a retired professor, IIT Mumbai. He's a consistent fighter against the neo-fascism and has been awarded the National Communal Harmony Award. He has also written many books and articles exposing communalism, majoritarian politics, and fascism. Welcome, Dr. Puniyani, to the webinar. We have also with us Comrade Shankar Das. He is a Politburo member of CPIML Red Star and is a constant critic of Manuvadi Hindutva politics through his articles. He's also a writer and a cultural activist. Actually, the quotation which I spoke in the beginning is taken from his article only. Welcome, Comrade Shankar. And we have with us Comrade Vijaylaxmi, who is the convener of Caste Annihilation Movement. He will be presenting the vote of thanks. Welcome, Comrade Lakshmi, to the webinar. And I would also like to welcome Comrade Kabir Katlar, who has arranged this entire program. And I would also like to welcome all the viewers who are with us in this struggle. After the end of the speech by each speaker, we'll have a question and answer session. So you're all requested to send your questions either in the comment box below the Facebook live feed or send it by WhatsApp to 90986 85508. I repeat, 90986 85508. We'd also like to remind you that Caste Annihilation Movement and Revolutionary Cultural Forum are running a campaign against the theoretical base of RSS Manuvadi Hindutva, which has started on September 28th, the birth anniversary of Shahid Bhagat Singh. And the first phase of this campaign will end on December 25th, the anniversary of the burning of Manusmriti by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And this webinar is part of this campaign. Dr. Puniyani, the stage is all yours. Please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Thank you very much. How much time I have got?
Oh, Comrade, you have got 1 hour?
1 hour, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So to begin with, I must thank Caste Annihilation Movement and this organization for inviting me, giving my generous introduction. And even before I begin my presentation, I must appreciate the introduction given by Vijaylaxmi. And she has comprehensively outlined most of the issues involved in annihilation of caste in the present circumstances. It is a very good presentation. I think you should try to circulate it. It is because it outlines most of the things. You can slightly upgrade it, and it is a good document. Anyway, friends, this talking a bit personally, I must say that realization about caste and importance of B.R. Ambedkar in India's spectrum of thought process began for me particularly after 6th December 1992. Talking a bit personally, I had come to the conclusion that our society can march towards equality, better human rights only through democratic path, number one. Number two, this democratic path can be achieved only through social movements for different issues, and the social movements which I recognize as taking us further in the journey are the social movements of workers for equal wages, better wages, farmers, which is going on at the moment, women's movement for equality, gender equality, Adivasis struggle for a dignified life, and lastly, but not the least, the Dalits struggle for social justice. So these are the five core movements which I identified for myself that these are the movements which can take us towards a society of equality. Now, 6 December 9, till 6 December 1992, I felt that this communalism, Hindu-Muslim issue, so-called Hindu-Muslim issue, is a temporary thing. It will pass off, so not to worry about it. Let me focus at personal level on workers' movement, better rights, and more democracy at the shop floor, and democracy at different working places. That had been my concern. When Babri Mosque was demolished and Mumbai violence gripped Bombay, that time I was shaken from inside and I realized that this Hindu Muslim issue is not just a superficial phenomenon, it is something deep. And it struck me somehow, it struck me that this movement is aimed, number one, to abolish our democracy, B, to weaken our social movements, and C, to put back put back Dalits and women in the subordinate position. I must say, I crave your indulgence that whenever I'll be talking about caste, the issue of gender will also be coming in parallelly, because to me, these two issues are very much linked. And on caste, social equality, women, gender equality, they run fairly parallel in a democratic process if the democratic process is allowed to unfurl itself. So the whole issue which came struck me after 6 December 1992, that this communal formation is not just there to oppress the Muslim, to kill the Muslims, to relegate them to the margins of the society. I somehow, because of whatever little understanding I had, I felt that this movement has a deeper implication. This has a deeper implication, and it is against the process of social justice. It is against the process of Dalits, OBC in their struggle for equality. It is against women's march towards gender equality. This somehow struck me because whatever little I had been reading at that time, and that is the time I tried to go into B.R. Ambedkar's issues raised by him, and even at the same time, the issues raised by women's movement related to their equality and their struggle. So this was the background in which I was forced to take up this learning process. And I believe me, it was a big learning process. It was a big learning process which unfurled the whole world of Indian society, the deep biases against Dalits, women, Adivasis in our society, and the attempt by Hindu right wing to revive the type of society where rules of Manusmriti are prevalent. So this is the background in which I started to undertake the study of B.R. Ambedkar in proper sense. And to my friends and comrades who are here in this thing, I must recommend one book right in the beginning. Of course, Ambedkar's writings are massive. Ambedkar's writings are massive. You can spend whole life reading, rereading, interpreting, reinterpreting, and try to come to a better understanding. Of course, Professor Mungekar, Bhalchandra Mungekar, has brought out with a brilliant anthology of Ambedkar's writings. And number two, there is a slim volume, very slim volume called Dalit Visions by Gail Ombet. All of us who want to understand this issue in depth must have a look at that if that is available. That is by Orient Black Swan. I hope it is still available in this thing. Now, Ambedkar, when we are talking of Ambedkar, caste annihilation, we must first try to understand the background in which Ambedkar comes to the social scene. And Ambedkar's coming to the social scene is in the background where already colonial society is set up. Colonial society, British influence, British are come in, British are ruling. They are trying to plunder the wealth of the country. They are trying to put in new education which is suitable for their administration, new legal system, new jail system, etc., etc. So of course, humorously, I will first try to understand what British aimed at in India. Of course, they came as traders. They came as traders, and they controlled the whole country, and at the same time they ruled plus plundered the country. Shashi Tharoor's brilliant book, The Dark Era of Empire, will tell us how much money they plundered from India. Now, so before this, there is a system of kingdoms. Now, this is very important to understand the distinction between kingdoms on one side, colonial period on the other, and period after independence. Period after independence can again be classified into period up to 1990, when some hope of democratic strengthening was there, and period after 1990, when communal politics becomes strong and breathing in a democratic air becomes more and more difficult. Now, coming back to British and before British, the rulers, Hindu versus Muslim, because the dominant discourse which is prevalent in people's mind is that Indian history was a struggle between Hindus versus Muslims. Hindus versus Muslims, Muslim kings versus Hindu kings. But believe me, it was not that. It was primarily a contradiction. Actually, I must say the social division was horizontal. Horizontal means at the lower level, the producer, the farmer, his exploiter, the landlord. Landlords above landlord, the king, above king, the emperor. So this was a social structure. Of course, it is very elementary. But what British did, they converted into vertical. Vertical for the sake of division, divide and rule. So they said it Hindu versus Muslim. And that's how, because after 1857, when they realized that it is difficult to rule this country and they must employ the imperial policy of divide and rule, the two sectors which we chose was Hindus versus Muslim. Now, of course, Hindu versus Muslim was never the primary contradiction of Indian society. Primary contradiction is at two levels. One is the producer, the farmer. The other side is the exploiter, landlord, and the king. So this was a primary contradiction. At second level, the other primary contradiction was at one level, Dalits and women on one side, and the upper caste males as the dominant social force. So of course, same thing is there, same historical process is there. So I am outlining three ways of looking at it. The prevalent dominant discourse has been initiated by British, reinforced by the communal forces for their goal, and that sees Hindu versus Muslim. But if you go into the depth of this kingdoms also, you will see Hindu kings, Muslim kings allied with each other, and the average people, the Hindus and Muslims, suffered and celebrated together. So it is not that Hindus were sitting on one side and the Muslims were sitting on the other side. Actually, of course, caste division was there. That's another. But primarily, it is kings fighting with each other, not for religion, for power and wealth. Kings allying with each other, like of course Akbar is there, but with Akbar there is Raja Todarmal, there is Raja Birbal. Aurangzeb, the most hated Muslim king, is there, but with him there is Raja Jai Singh, Raja Jaswant Singh, and 33% of his associates are Hindus. Okay, so this is thing, and even the battles have been presented because communal forces have presented these battles as great Hindu warriors versus the cruel Muslim aggressor. It was not like that. Kings were fighting not for religion. They were fighting for power and wealth. And just one battle example I'll give. You can see about Tipu Sultan also. But one battle example I'll give you is that between Akbar and Rana Pratap. You will remember Rana Pratap is being projected now as the great Hindu nationalist. He was a king. We are in a nation state. Please see every subtle difference. Rana Pratap, Shivaji, they are being presented as great Hindu nationalists. They were not. That time nation state was not there. But this is a beauty, not beauty, brilliance, a shrewd brilliance of communal forces that they are trying to collapse the history in such a way. Anyway, Rana Pratap, Akbar, ground of Haldighati in Rajasthan. Two kings are fighting, and on Akbar's side, Akbar's forces, Akbar himself is not there. Akbar's army is being represented by Raja Man Singh. And on Rana Pratap's side, apart from Rana Pratap, there is Hakim Khan Sur. It is a mixed army on both the sides. But today, what people are being drilled with, Muslims versus Hindus, which was not there at all. See, all our culture, I'm talking, more of northern culture, to our moderator particularly. In northern culture, if you see, many festivals, Holi begins from the Muslim landlord of the village. Diwali, recently I came across a beautiful article by my friend. Diwali, of course, after knowing the reality of it, I don't celebrate it much. But at that time also, Diwali was celebrated in a great way by Mughal kings. They used to call it Jasht-e-Charaga. Jasht means festival. Charag means the lamp, the festival of lamps. It was a great celebration in that. And of course, I'll request my friends, though it may sound a bit elementary, if you have time sometime, do enjoy a classic of my times, which is Mughal-e-Azam. There you will see the integration of the Hindu and Muslim culture in a beautiful way. Then there are poets like Rahim Raskhan talking about Sri Krishna. Then there are people like in the present time also, the great friend of ours, Javed Akhtar, writing brilliant poetry on Lord Krishna. Similarly, many Hindus also wrote things which were like. So basic point is, that was not a period of hostility on the ground of religion. The hostility, the contradiction was between the poor peasant and the rich landlord. The contradiction was between the upper caste and the suppressed Dalits and women on one side. Anyway, British come and they introduce some changes. And of course, as we know, very elementary, society is constantly changing. Society is constantly changing. In my own lifetime, I have seen how with great adulation we saw the Soviet Revolution, the October Revolution, how it later on went into perestroika, glasnost, and how in the current times in the Russia, a different type of things are. So society is constantly changing. British brought certain changes, and these changes, this is the background in which Ambedkar is coming. Just wait for 4-5 minutes. Ambedkar is coming on the scene. So British introduced, to remember humorously, I put it, 3 major changes. One is transport, rail. Second is communication, telephone, telegraph, postal system, mail. And third is modern education, modern judicial system, and modern punitive system, and punitive system represented by jail. So 3 things you will always remember: rail, mail, and jail. Okay. Now with this, 3 new social classes come up. I'm very glad I don't have to explain you what are social classes, because other meetings I have to explain a class means type of people doing similar type of work. I don't have to explain to friends like you. Now, so 3 new social classes come up. What are these 3 new social classes? Number 1, businessman industrialist. Tata, Birla, Bajaj, Singhania, Dalmia. They set up the factories, and in the factories come up the modern working class. And the third group which comes up is the modern educated people. So remember, these are the rising classes, and the older classes are not decimated away. In France, when the Industrial Revolution comes, the old classes are thrown into the dustbin of history. The old rulers are thrown into the dustbin of history, and that alliance of king and the clergy, landlord and the clergy, it is wiped out from the society. So the democratic society begins from a clean slate. In India, new classes come up, the old rulers, landlords, rajas, Hindus, Nawab, they also continue. It's a coexistence. Of course, peaceful coexistence is something else, but it's a coexistence which becomes painful in much later time. Now, one good thing British did was introduction of the process of formation of organizations. From the rising classes, many organizations come up. For the lack of time, I'll put three representative classes with a request that try to see the pattern of their names. What are these three new classes, which three new representative organizations? Number one, Shahid Bhagat Singh, Naujawan Bharat Sabha. Number two, Bhimrao Babasaheb Ambedkar, many organizations culminating in his concept of Republican Party of India, and the organization which led the freedom movement. I am not propagating to vote for them, don't worry about that. That Indian National Congress with representatives like Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Annie Besant, Sardar Baldev Singh, and Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. So these are the rising classes. And the declining classes, Raja, Nawab, Zamidar, Jagirdar, landlords, they also form an organization, which is, they are Hindus and Muslims are together in the beginning. Later on, because of British policy of divide and rule, they get divided. Initially in these organizations, please note, and here this is very important, in these organizations initially only landlords and kings were there. Later on, some elite, educated, upper caste type of people joined them, and they gave them leadership also. Some of the one organization which comes up is basically based around the one upper caste group. So what are these sections coming from the declining sections of society? Three representatives. Number one, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Muslim League. Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, Hindu Mahasabha. And the organization which is overarching every other organization today, which wants Hindu nation. What is the name of that? Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh. See the pattern of names. Rising classes, changing values, going towards democracy, and those who have roots in the feudal system. So here there is Naujawan Bharat Sabha, Republican Party of India, Bharatiya Rashtriya Congress. And here there is Muslim League, Hindu Mahasabha, and for Hindu nation RSS. I hope you got my point. Basically, they were standing and aspiring for a India where which is inclusive, which should go towards liberty, equality, fraternity, and justice. And what are these fellows struggling for? These fellows are struggling for retaining their old privileges, and see their brilliance, their crooked brilliance. They want to retain their privileges because with the coming up of the rising classes, their privileges are going away. So they say, and very, very, very shrewdly they say, they don't say that our power is declining. They say our religion is in danger. So for a Muslim Nawab, he is losing his power, but he's saying Islam khatre mein, Islam in danger. And Hindu Rajas and current Hindutva politics, they will say Hinduism is in danger. Believe me, you, religions are not in danger. It is a social power, political power of few groups which is in danger. Anyway, so now how do I summarize the value system of rising classes, declining classes? Here from rising classes, I pick up my favorite example of Bhimrao Babasaheb Ambedkar. I'll go into detail, but this just to group these two things. And Bhimrao Babasaheb Ambedkar, he, for social justice, launches a lot of movements. I will not go into details of that, but one symbolic thing he does is burning of Manusmriti. While burning of Manusmriti, he must have thought that Manusmriti gives the provisions of slavery. for Shudras and women. I am against that. So I am getting this book burned. Same Ambedkar goes on to become the chairman of drafting committee of Indian Constitution, which gives us what? Liberty, equality, fraternity, and justice. So this is the rising classes and the declining classes. One example I'll give you, of course, these days, so many BJP leaders, and I'll go to their boss, big organization, their patriarchal organization, their patriarch RSS. In 2000, there was one Sar Sangh Chalak. I hope you know this word, Sar Sangh Chalak, supreme dictator, and that was K. Sudarshan. K. Sudarshan, in Outlook magazine, he gave a statement. It has been erased. You know, there is a wonderful IT cell taking away all the things which are uncomfortable. But somehow I happen to write an article on that, which I have preserved somewhere. So what does Mr. Sudarshan say? The boss of RSS, he says, Indian Constitution is based on Western values. He doesn't say it is based on the modern values. He doesn't say that it is based on equality. That is not acceptable. So he calls it Western. Throw it away and bring a constitution based on holy Indian books. So what is a holy Indian book? It can't be Quran. It can't be Bible. So it has to be Manusmriti. See the contradiction. Ambedkar is burning Manusmriti, bringing in Indian constitution, and this Hindu nationalist politics wants Indian constitution to go away and the values prevalent at the time of Manusmriti to come back. So this is the background in which we must understand Ambedkar's role in the whole process. When I was talking of the rising classes, in addition to rail, mail, and jail, there are two major processes which are taking place. What are these two major processes? One is introduction of modern education to Dalits. Remember Jyotirao Phule. These names are very important. Mahatma Jyotirao Phule, he says, education is accessible to Dalits, but they are afraid because from centuries they have been told that you can't get education. You either, if you learn on your own, you will become eklavya. Otherwise, if you hear the holy words, your ear will be molten lead will be put in your ears, and if you speak the holy words from Vedas, your tongue will be cut. So Phule tells, don't worry about this. This is what gives you slavery. Come to the modern education. This will be the path of your liberation. So encouragement of education to Dalits. And his wife, but I'm saying his wife, but don't take it in that sense. She was a independent authority in her own self. Savitribai Phule. Savitribai Phule starts the school for girls. Today, of course, I'm so happy that our moderator is a girl. But that time, education for girls was unthinkable. And when she, along with his colleague, Fatima Sheikh, started the school for girls, people said, this is against our religion. Our religion says women should be in the confines of their homes, and they wanted to stop Savitribai Phule in her tracks. They used to throw stones on her, mud on her, and cow dung on her. Of course, cow dung is very sacred these days. So I should not use that word. So cow dung on her. But undaunted by that, she continued to go to the school. Then they started another method. What was that method? Starting rumors. And of course, you know, rumors are very powerful. They spark of communal violence, and sometimes they make Ganesh idol to drink the milk also. Power of rumors. Anyway, I am coming from a science background, but I must concede the power of rumors is very great. So they started a rumor against women's education. What was that rumor? That those girls who will get educated will become widows very fast. At a lighter note, I said this was a rumor, and I can prove it from my own life. From my own life, I can prove it. My wife is a very well-educated MBBS doctor. Till this minute, she is not a widow, despite tolerating me for 40 long years. Anyway, that's a personal story. Now, in this, here comes Ambedkar. So here there is Jyotirao Phule, there is Savitribai Phule, there is a beginning of education amongst Dalits beginning of education amongst women. And when Phule, Dr. Ambedkar, after getting the maximum possible degrees, maximum possible, does not get a job. And when he gets a job, people are scared of giving him water. People don't touch the files which he is dealing with. And from here, he goes into launching, goes on to become the principal of the law college, teaches there, and at the same time, he starts one paper, another paper, or forms one organization, another organization. And two major things which he does was, one was for social equality. He that Dalits should also have access to public drinking water. Public drinking water. He led a satyagraha. And please note, in this satyagraha, men were there, women were also there. That is very remarkable of this type of thing, because when I come to RSS, I will try to explain that it is exclusively male organization in which women have a subordinate role structurally in that organization, in that ideology, etc., etc. Okay, so Chaudhar Talab, what does he say? He says the animals are drinking water from the tank, but you are not permitting we, the Dalits, to have water from that. So he took him satyagraha there. They were beaten up. Then he said, you regard us as Hindus. Let us come to temples. But again, they were beaten. And it is after this that he got Manusmriti burned. And he stated that I was born in a Hindu family. But let me explain. His understanding of Hinduism, his practice, his experience of Hinduism was that Hinduism is in the grip of Brahminism. This is very important to understand, because at the same time, another person was saying the word Hindu and trying to unite the country with great amount of tolerance and patience. So anyway, so Ambedkar experienced the Brahminical Hinduism, and he said, I was born in a Hindu family that was not in my hands, but I will not die in this family and in this religion. And later on, of course, before his death, he embraced Buddhism, and the basic concept for Buddhism, accepting Buddhism, was a concept of equality, which was there. Lord Gautam Buddha had already talked of this. Now, whole Ambedkar philosophy was centered around struggle of this caste inequality. And he studied the caste system in India, and his book, Who Were the Shudras, which was written as a lecture but not accepted by the Jat Pat Todak Mandal in Punjab. So he published it as a separate book. His basic point was that Indian society has caste system, and this caste system is very rigid, inflexible, and it has to be annihilated. Remember the word annihilation. I am glad you use the word annihilation, because today those people who are there to maintain the status quo, to push back the Dalits into subordinate position, they are using the word caste harmony. A bit of a Hindi, samarasta. They say different castes are there. There should be harmony between the castes. Over. Ambedkar says no question of harmony in the caste. This caste system itself should be annihilated, and that's how he one of the things he said was intercaste marriages. And when you think of love jihad, when you think of that, do you think they are doing it just against Muslims? No, 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 no. Their basic point is that every independence to girl, every intercaste marriage, it's a attack on the rigid Brahminical notions which are the base of Hindu nationalism. So anyway, so Ambedkar then traces the history of the caste, and of course there are three major theories of the caste system. One is by Martin Kloss. He says that as production became surplus, the new caste started coming up. Then there is D.D. Kosambi, who says that as different indigenous groups merged into the urban societies, the caste system was created. But Ambedkar here has an opinion that caste system is purely dictated by, not by race, not by anything, but by the Hindu holy scriptures, basically Brahminical holy this thing, Brahminical holy scriptures. Here, let me point out one thing. He burnt Manusmriti, but at another place, he also says the Gita, which is most revered by many people, quoted as the holy Hindu book. He says Gita is Manusmriti in nutshell. Just I'm giving it a food for thought, because there also Lord Shri Krishna says, whenever the dharma is in danger, I take birth. What is this dharma? Dharma is Varnashram dharma. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Anyway, so Ambedkar gives his theory of caste, and then he regards three major steps in the anti-caste struggle in India. These three major struggles which took place, first and these three people, he calls them as his guru. Guru is of course now a accepted word in even Oxford dictionary, so I don't have to translate. Guru has a very unique this thing. So he regards, now his first guru is Lord Gautam Buddha. And you will see Gautam Buddha's compassion, love, equality, they are all part of what Ambedkar believes. His second guru is Sant Kabir. Here I want to request my friend that please don't confuse the saint system. Now again I am careful. Saint, of course, these days are many saints are there. Only few of them are in jails, others are working outside. I'm not talking of those saints. I'm talking of medieval saints, Kabir, Tukaram, Namdev, Narsi Mehta, on similar lines, Moinuddin Chishti, Nizamuddin Aulia. These saints basically focused on the morality of religion, inclusiveness of society, and celebration with the ordinary people. So second, he takes Kabir as the example, because those who read Kabir in detail, he just doesn't talk of Hindu-Muslim unity. He's harshly against the priestly class. Priestly class, not only in the Hindus, but also in the Muslims. That's why Muslim rulers were against him, Hindu rulers were also against him, because according to Kabir, the social system is maintained on one side by the kings and legitimized by the clergy. We have a wrong notion that king and the pope alliance was only in Europe. Please note, landlord clergy alliance is all over in the feudal pattern of society. So that Kabir becomes his second guru, and his third guru is Jyotirao Phule, whose work very preceding to him, who tells that this caste system and all that, Jyotirao Phule speaks very eloquently. His social action is very important, through which he tries to unite, he tries to uplift the Dalits in his society. So here comes what are the obstacles to the annihilation of caste. Now, as I said, on one side, rising classes are coming up. On the other side, there are declining rulers who do not want to part with their ideology. And in this, of course, one is Muslim League. I will not much talk detail about it. Muslim League, mainly Muslim communalism, fundamentalism, operative in Pakistan. They have already ruined the Pakistani society. Of course, we are also going on the same path, if I'm not wrong. So Muslim communalism, I'll leave out. But Hindu communalism, as Hindu Mahasabha comes up, and Savarkar is the first major philosopher, ideologue of Hindu Mahasabha. He says there are two nations here, Hindus and Muslims. Savarkar goes on to criticize Buddhism. Can you realize why? Because Buddhism is talking of equality. Savarkar is against untouchability. Savarkar is for temporal entry by Shudras, but as far as Varna caste system is there, they are fully for that. Then comes in 1925 RSS, and here two major things I will you please remember. First is 1925 and second is 1990. I'll explain what is 1990. 1925, why RSS comes up. Now, generally the impression of about RSS is that it is anti-Muslim, but believe me, anti-Muslim is just a visible part of RSS agenda. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, audible.
We can hear you.
You can hear.
Yes.
So, believe me, this is just a visible part of the RSS agenda. In 1920s, what happens? If you know, first time Mahatma Gandhi involves average people into the anti-British struggle. So the social hierarchy which was there starts breaking. And so elite and upper caste start feeling threatened. And number two, in Nagpur, Vidarbha area, I hope you know RSS head office is in Nagpur. I hope you know that in RSS head office there was a portrait of Hitler. I hope you know that RSS there is a big collection of armaments, different type of armament, which our glorious Hindu kings were using against the oppressive Muslim kings. That is all where RSS head office is there. Anyway, so RSS comes up, and the third background because of which RSS comes up because upper caste elite feel threatened. Number one, because average people are participating in the freedom movement. Number two, because the Dalits in Nagpur Vidarbha area, inspired by Jyotirao Phule, inspired by Bhimrao Babasaheb Ambedkar, launch a movement called Non-Brahmin Movement. Its title is Non-Brahmin Movement, but it is target against the landlords. In our Maharashtra, there is a very catchy word called Shetji Bhatji. Shetji means landlord, Bhatji means a priest. So when they are targeting it against Brahmins, basically they are targeting against landlordism. So when this comes in, they come to form RSS. And RSS takes its inspiration from the nationalism promoted by Hitler and Mussolini. That's a long story. I will not go into the detail of this. Anyway, so RSS at one level, basically, annihilation of caste is on one side and RSS is on the other side, wanting to preserve the caste system in a different way. That's why its ideologue that is more popular, Golwalkar. These days they are trying to name a lot of scientific institutions in the name of Golwalkar. Imagine scientific institutions in the name of Golwalkar. That's the latest trend. Thanks not where we are landing up in our country, where people like Jawaharlal Nehru talked of promotion of scientific temper. There we are going to have institutions of science named in the name of Golwalkar. And Golwalkar stated that in India, Lord Manu was the greatest philosopher, and he was the greatest philosopher because he understood that caste system is
Comrade, are you there?
His connection is, there is a problem in his connection.
Okay.
Please wait for a few minutes.
Okay. Yeah, you're audible now. Please go on.
So it trains pracharaks and it gives a narrative. It gives a narrative which is indoctrinated into people's head. And what is that narrative? Ancient glorious past. When Manusmriti ruled, when the caste and gender system was applicable, that is regarded as a golden ancient period. How was a golden ancient period spoiled? Because of Muslims, because of Christians. They came here, they tried to convert the people, all bunkum, nothing truth about it. They tried to convert the people, so the caste system became unequal. They are lecherous, so we had to protect our women. So all that sati and all that came. So projecting internal problems to the external source. Brilliant move, brilliant move. Problem is within the society, but you blame the outside for that. Anyway, before coming to the 1990 and why Hindu nationalism surged up after 1990, I must say Swayamsevaks, Pracharaks are given full indoctrination. You all must be remembering our that President Pranab Mukherjee, who got Bharat Ratna. You know why he got Bharat Ratna? According to me, he went to RSS convocation when this 6-month long training is given, and Pranab Mukherjee praised Hedgewar, the founder of RSS. So obviously he deserved a Bharat Ratna. Nothing short of that will do. So they gave a long training, and comrades, I must blame ourselves, I'm including myself with you, their training is round the year, all the days of the week, all the years of the month, all the months of the year, and round the clock, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year training, and then you become pracharak and fully indoctrinated with the ideology of a Hindu nation, Hindu nationalism. Now we get independence. RSS keeps quietly proliferating. At the same time, when around communist parties form, brilliant work. Our understanding is that of class struggle. Very correct. I fully agree with that. And it gives us a lot of enrichment in understanding the social exploitation. No match about it. But the Indian reality of caste system never gripped our comrades. Even why blame others? Even I, till 1992, did not realize that caste system is one of the core things to understand. And this Ambedkar's guru and Ambedkar himself realized. Jyotirao Phule writes he has a book called Shetkaryache Asur, means cultivator's whipcord, in which he says the same person belongs to lower caste and same person is a labor. At one level, he is exploited socially. At another level, he is exploited economically. See the synthesis which Jyotirao Phule brings into his study, and Ambedkar does the same thing. You know what is the first party which he formed? It was Independent Labour Party. Why he forms Independent Labour Party? He says, all people of my caste belong to the working class. So what party will be the best? So it is Independent Labour Party. Anyway, let's not go into what mistakes we have done in the past. But basically, to understand the society in an organic way, to see that exploitation is social, exploitation is economic, and exploitation is gender-based. If we synthesize these three in our organic thinking, we can begin to understand how do we counter the great threat which has come to our democracy. Now, of course, India gets independence. Ambedkar writes the constitution. After that, slow changes start taking place. When I was 30s, in my 20s and 30s, I said, oh, what is happening? Things are so slow. Nehru is not doing anything. Country is still poor. Of course, that's what logically you should always be. We are in the permanent opposition. Like whatever are their weaknesses, we criticize that. But today in the hindsight, we can see what Nehru did and what Ambedkar did founded modern India. Because of that, Dalits started coming to the social space, women started coming to the social space, and partly Adivasis also started coming to the social space. And by 1980, the social dynamics changes. The upper caste, the affluent people start realizing that Dalits are coming into the society, OBCs are coming into the society, women are making small headway, and that's where religiosity is invoked. Please note, this religiosity was not natural the way my grandfather was religious. It is not that religiosity. It was a constructed religiosity around Ram temple. And its explanation was given by none other than that prime minister who used to write poetry, who was also called right man in the wrong party. Of course, I think he was a wrong man in the wrong party. I hope you have guessed, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. In 1990, VP Singh brings in Mandal Commission report. And in Mandal Commission, when Mandal Commission is brought in, Vajpayee later on says, they brought in Mandal, we brought in Kamandal. I hope you know the meaning of the word Kamandal. Kamandal, which the sadhus carry, a religiosity. So after that, Rath Yatra, temple, this issue started becoming important. And at the same time, targeting of Muslims and Dalits started going up. Now, as you correctly pointed out, I'm indicating to our moderator that atrocities against Dalits have gone up from 1914 onwards. There must be nearly 20 to 30% increase in the anti-Dalit atrocities, in the anti-women atrocities. Incidents of rape are becoming horrific, etc., etc. And this is what has been the period of last 6 years. So, question is that subtle policies pursued by this government, which wants to go towards Hindu nationalism, which has created a narrative around that. It kept raising, I'll just wind up in 5-6 minutes, kept raising issues, emotive issues. Bhagat Singh, Ambedkar will talk of bread, butter, shelter, employment, education, dignity, human rights. And they started talking of Ram temple, cow is our mother. Of course, they can't take care of their own mother, but cow is our mother. Beef eating is equal to killing. Love jihad. Actually, in younger days, I used to feel love doesn't know any boundaries, including that of religion. But now, of course, at old age, I can't recite these sentences. So now love jihad has come up, and all those issues. Can you believe that even Corona, which the world is suffering, the media related to this particular party tried to blame it on the Muslims. Corona jihad, Corona bomb, etc., etc. I mean, that was the limit what Goebbels must have shaken in his grave that day. That somebody can surpass me so much must have been a real surprise to that. So, friends, this whole thing which is going on from last 25-30 years, I feel that this is basically to distract. Of course, there is a big topic. I will not go into that. How our democratic institutions are being constrained as if somebody is throttling them. How our democratic values are going under the sides. How the sufferings of Adivasis, Dalits, women and workers are increasing. That is there for everybody to see. So my point here is that when we are talking of annihilation of caste, RSS devised a very clever strategy. And this is three-pronged strategy. One is a strategy of Sanskritization, bringing in religion, promoting religion into the Dalit areas. And there is a very good study by, I'm forgetting the name of one young scholar, who did that whenever RSS wants to enter a Dalit basti, they go and start Vinayaka festival, Ganesh festival. They give the money to start it, and then whole things are motivated around that. Second is they are trying to bring in Dalit icons, praise them without their values. Like these days, you may not be celebrating Ambedkar so much as RSS affiliated organizations do. But for them, Ambedkar is a photo. Ambedkar is not the values of equality. Third, they try to co-opt some of the Dalit leaders. You must have heard of Chirag Paswan. Earlier, my great friend who's currently in jail, Anant Teltumde. In, I think, Modi cabinet, there were three Ram Vilas Paswan, then Ramdas Athavale, and Ram Raj, Udit Raj. Three Rams were there in Modi cabinet. So Teltumde called that these are Hanumans of the government. Now Chirag Paswan himself says, I am Hanuman for Modi. So this type of indoctrination by selfish, narrow interest of few Dalit leaders. And fourth is social engineering, in which through constant propaganda, they try to project to Dalits that you are Hindus, we are brethren, and our real enemy is Muslims. So these are the 4 steps through which they do it. So now how do we come back to the path of caste annihilation, which should be our goal, as was the goal of Dr. Ambedkar? Number 1, RSS has become powerful because of polarization. Polarization has come up because of communal violence. Communal violence could be orchestrated because of the hatred produced against minorities. Hatred could be produced against minorities because of the misconceptions in the society. Muslims bad, Christians bad, Christians convert, Muslims are terrorists, Muslims destroyed our temples, they converted by force, they marry 4 number of times, they lure our girls. So hatred against Muslims. So we have to go the same way around. First, try to create a understanding which counters most of these understandings in a true way. And I will share with you, if you don't mind. Sorry, I keep talking about myself because I have written a small booklet, 69 questions about what people believe and what is the truth. I will share it with you as a soft copy. You can use it, number 1. So these need to be countered. In people's, actually, what people think, social common sense is very important. Remember Noam Chomsky's word of manufacturing consent. America could attack one country after the other because through media, it could win the consent of the people. And RSS today can orchestrate things because it has won over people's mind to some extent. Not full extent, but that's where we have to work. We have to try to bring the bondings between different religious communities. Number three, we have to see that all social movements, which I have listed 5-6 type of social movement, we are there. I salute the great comrades who are working in this, but we have one flaw. That flaw is that we are very scattered. We work for the same cause, but we can't see eye to eye with each other. Maybe ideological differences, ego clashes, etc., etc. Time has come to save our democracy. And for saving our democracy, we have to work shoulder to shoulder without dissolving our organizational identity. Keep it. This is very valuable. But ally with those who are working in the similar causes, work shoulder to shoulder with every other social movement which strengthens democracy, which talks of equality, which talks of abolition of caste, which talks of gender equality. And I don't see that these are different issues. They're deeply connected. There is a deeper organic connection between the two. And what is that organic connection? That organic connection is a march towards democracy. When we say equality, equality doesn't mean that there is Ambani on one side and a beggar on the other. It also includes economic equality. When we talk of equality, it means equality between genders also, equality between different castes also. So that's where I think, but one last ray of hope I will say. I have said so many pessimistic, negative things. I can't help that pessimism is creeping in slowly, but I try to keep it alive by looking at young people like you and looking at other young people who are articulating Ambedkar's values, Bhagat Singh's values in a very refreshing way. You may disagree with them at some places, but they have made a great impact. Young friends like Jignesh Mevani, Kanhaiya Kumar, and Umar Khalid, Sheila Rashid. Why I am taking their names? Because somewhere at the age of 75, I have to look for the ray of hope for tomorrow and for the future. It is through these efforts, by strengthening our movements and by working shoulder to shoulder with cause-based movement. Issue should be important. And as they say in English, let's march separately if necessary. Let's march separately if necessary, but let's strike together. Let's strike together, and that's where our recognition for others' contribution should be very much there. So as far as we believe in liberty, equality, fraternity, and justice, we try to ally, we try to support other organizations, other movements, so that the movements become strong, and strong movements are the only guarantee for a proper democratic society. Strong movements are the only guarantee that we can overcome caste differences, gender differences, and restoration of Adivasis in the normal stream of life. Thank you very much. She told me that I should stop in between. I requested her that you should stop me. Neither she stopped me nor I stopped myself. So sorry for that. But your questions I'll take at the end. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Comrade. So what happened was I was supposed to stop you in between. We were supposed to have an interactive session, but I got into it so much that, I didn't want to stop the flow. So it was like, usually I don't like history sessions. So this time I was like sitting in the first bench and watching the entire show, So
Thank you, sir.
So
Thank
you for this, because this is the first time I'm getting so much of a refreshing perspective on Indian history. I haven't ever seen it this way, representative classes and dominating and declining classes. I know it must be the same for all of viewers. And another thing is, usually people don't touch upon Bhagavad Gita. Usually people criticize this Manusmriti only, and they don't go upon Vedas or Bhagavad Gita, even though it is Bhagavad Gita which says in one chapter, Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vipagashaha. So in that, Krishna says Chaturvarnya is created by me, and it is based on this Guna and Karma, Triguna, and on the karmic basis. So it is from that only. So we also don't touch upon that. And even Gandhi has written a book called Karma Yoga, and we usually keep Bhagavad Gita to the side because we consider it a secular text, but it is not so. So rightly you have pointed out that. And we have questions. Can I start? We have, yeah.
At your disposal.
So the first question is, I remember Ambedkar said caste is not created by Manusmriti, but put a stamp of holiness and authority. If I am correct, why and how caste came into existence? It is not an academic question because to annihilate, one should have a clarity of its origin.
Yeah. See, that way, Indian system, actually, there is another theory that there is something called Asiatic mode of production. We have sort of a self-sufficient village, and that is a possibility of a village becoming self-sufficient is there. Now, I'm talking the material base, and because if you are too much dependent on others, then interaction takes place. Here, if the life is there in the single village, which is self-sufficient, then there is a possibility of this caste system developing very strongly. And when the system developed, the dominant people legitimized it. They legitimize it. So that's why later on Ambedkar says that it is the scriptures, it is because of the scriptures that caste system gets rooted. So there are two things. One is the formation of the caste system, and second is legitimization and rooting of the caste system, which again our holy, so-called holy scriptures bring into the action. And that's where I think we need to think about it.
So, Comrade, there is another one. How do we deal with the neo-Ambedkarites in our struggle for caste annihilation? Because they don't accept us and we also don't accept their ideology, but we have to go along. Like you said, even though we march separately, we have to strike together. So how do we do it?
Yeah, that's a very $1 million question, I must say. See, what happened that we are all identified. I am in the boat with which you are riding. And we are identified as left thinkers. And later on, of course, when Communist Party and Ambedkar, they had some electoral problems. So Communist Party did not support him. And this fact is propagated, broadcast by the right wing very strongly. Actually, Ambedkar concedes that socialism is the best system. He says, I am closest to socialism. And on the other side, it is communists who are closest to socialism. But what right wing has done very cleverly, they have picked up some difference here, some difference there, and enlarged it. So what we can do, like here I appreciate Kanhaiya Kumar, where he has coined a slogan called Jai Bhim Lal Salam. Now that is symbolic. That is symbolic. And secondly, if there is a film by Anand Patwardhan, you must see all his films, especially his latest one, Vivek Reason, and one of his 5-hour film. Of course, he is a great person, but we also curse him that he makes long films. Beautiful, total elaboration. There is a film called Jai Bhim Comrade. Look at the word, Jai Bhim Comrade. So the whole effort is to see how these two things can be brought together. And we must leave all our arrogance. We have gone through Marx, we have gone through different philosophers who have been talking of equality. We believe in equality. But in Indian reality, how do we accommodate it with them? How do we support their struggles? Like you very well brought out Rohit Vemula. You know how much big movement was there after Rohit Vemula's institutional murder? So we should be part of all this. See, one is that we send a message, and second is our actions. In our actions, if we are supporting them, we are rubbing shoulders with them, I'm sure we'll be able to bridge this gap. It's a question of time. Even Jignesh Mevani, he is not allergic to left people. And Kanhaiya Kumar from the left, he is very much bringing in Ambedkar in every of his this thing. So today, of course, Gandhi, if we say a lot of controversies come, Gandhi has done his role. He has united the country. He got us freedom. But today, the two icons which we have to mash together is Bhagat Singh on one side and Ambedkar on the other. So we will have to find very creative ways of associating with Dalit movement. And I think the onus is on us. Onus is on you and me that we try to associate with them. We try to remove their misconceptions. And these misconceptions cannot be done only through articles or essays. They have to be done on the street. They have to be done through the struggles. They have to be done by standing firmly against every atrocity against Dalits. That's what will give a proper message. So that's what I feel. It's difficult. It is easier said than done, but we have to do it. Without that, social movements cannot progress. Without that, democracy cannot be restored.
Yes. Which brings me to the next question. I mean, you talked about caste, but caste is a phenomenon that is unique to the Indian subcontinent. So why
Yeah.
is it so?
Yeah, see, this, as I said, there is something called Asiatic mode of production. Wherever the society is very stable, environmental, weather conditions are not very bad, and people can be self-sufficient. This may be one of the things. And as I was saying, that in India, peculiarly, the whole world, there cannot be a uniformity. There cannot be a uniformity. Caste is unique to India because of many of the historical situations, many of the geographical situations, because of which the caste came and it became perpetuated. To me, I think I can see only one reason, and that is what I read bit about Asiatic mode of production. Then, as I told you about D.D. Kosambi, also feels that many of the indigenous people who were coming out from jungles, forests, they were trying to fuse with the society, and in that some differentiation came up, which some powerful elite tried to intensify. So that is a reality. We can't do much about it. But as I told you also about Morton class, his theory, it is because of the surplus and etc. etc. So these three main theories we have to relook, and peculiarity of India's geography has a lot of role to play in this origin of caste system in India.
The next question is, how do you deal with caste annihilation in a country which is so polarized? You know, I am 30. So when I was getting older, I mean, like I was growing up. So there was a scope. I mean, we used to believe that this caste system was going to end because people are earning more. It is an era of globalization and privatization, and the young children, they get money in their hands pretty early. And they don't have to go by the values or the beliefs that the parent believed in because they are exposed to the Western concepts and everything. But still, we haven't seen this happening. The youth now is also much polarized when you talk to them. Yeah. So how is it so?
See, after 1980s, if you see, basic reason I feel that India's secularization process, I gave the example of France and many other European countries, if you see, when the democratic, industrial, modern society, all terms may not be accurate, but democratic, modern nation state comes, the landlord and the clergy, their power is reduced. They are either annihilated or at least at social scale, their power, like in France, many of them were annihilated. In some countries in Europe, they were not annihilated. They were just kept aside from the power structure. Like in England, still the Queen is ruling, but that's the most democratic country. So different type of things come up. So in India, because of the colonial, it was a colonial state. In colonial state, British were not interested in wiping out the landlords. British were not interested in wiping out the landlords and this thing. So they also continued, as I said, rising classes came up, declining classes also continued, and they were most loyal to the British. Today, many of them say, "Oh, we were this thing." Like even RSS was never a part of freedom movement. RSS was never a part of freedom movement. Hindu Mahasabha was never a part of freedom movement, and even Muslim League was not a part of freedom movement. So today they may say anything, but they wanted to retain their privileges, and with privileges, British had also no problem. So British also let them continue. So what we call as a land reform. Now here comes a crucial word which we can understand better. Land reform could never be implemented fully. And when the land reform is not implemented, the power of the landlord and the clergy in some modified form continues. So from 1950 to 1980, if you see, the hold of communalism was not so much. But after 1990s decade, if you see, it is a sort of a throwback to the past. Those elements who were trying to retain their privileges, now they change their form and they see the occasion. And again, it is also, I must say, the role of RSS is very phenomenal because they kept working quietly. We never heard of like till 1917-80, RSS was never recognized as a power. Even now, they work from the shadows, but they work the hardest. Believe me, they work the hardest in indoctrinating the young boys between the age of 5 to 15, and that may also is additional reason as to why caste is not going. So one is number one, secularization process did not take place. Elements of landlordism and clergyism that continued. And number three, the subjective factor of the role of RSS that has intensified the whole thing.
Comrade, we have always seen that Uttar Pradesh tops the list of atrocities against Dalits. I mean, this the data brought out by NCRB. So for the past many years, UP has been topping the list. Why is it the case? I mean, what is so special about Uttar Pradesh that it happens so much in there?
Yeah. See, actually, there is some difference between the northern states and the southern states. Uttar Pradesh is a worse, in this sense, again, it is very much related to the land reforms, number one. Number two, in southern states, this reservation for OBCs came in much earlier. In 1950s, there was a talk of OBC reservation, and that started getting implemented. And in like Kerala, the land reform is much better than others. So here, all states have behaved very, very differently. Uttar Pradesh has not like even when it became independent. GB Pant, Govind Vallabh Pant, who was the first chief minister of UP, he was fairly a right winger. So from there, the roots of landlordism were preserved, clergyism was preserved. So Uttar Pradesh maybe is, and of course you see there is a word called Bimaru states, Bimaru state, UP, Bihar, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh, where also called cow belt, where RSS has been the strongest. So here the process of land reforms, the process of affirmative action for Dalits and OBCs has been weaker, and that's why the things are much worse there. So in the states where affirmative action for the weaker sections has been better, land reforms have been slightly more implemented, there the things are better. And these four states, things are generally much worse, and UP tops the list because of that.
Comrade, this is the last question. So you're free after this. So you said that there is a process of renaming. I mean, all the genetic science institutes being renamed under Goldwater institutes and everything, and also rewriting of history that has been going on since Prime Minister Modi was the CM of Gujarat. That has been going on since there. So with this going on, and with this WhatsApp university that is, spreading misinformation like anything in this post-truth era, how do we give out values or lessons of secularism and the right lessons of history, because the youth, young children who are growing up nowadays, they are learning these things only. So how do we give them the right lessons?
See, I think one of the weaknesses of ruling party and the left parties has been that we have ignored this issue. Like even I felt till 1992 that this is not an issue. While RSS was working full barrels, we were totally ignoring it. So they have already sowed a lot of this common sense, which has to be undone. Now, and that I think the left parties and those people who are really secular must make it a major mission of their life to take this proper history, remove the misconceptions about Muslims and Christians, and that has to be done subjectively. There is no automatic mechanism. Now with this government ruling, they are going to do worse and worse and worse. But what is in our hand, we should try to do it subjectively. And so wherever, like there are many friends, and I'm requesting all of that. See, all your movements, you must focus on. But in addition, try to reduce this hatred and try to reduce the misconceptions. Without reducing the misconceptions, we can't think of a secular society at all. Because they have been working 95 years round the clock, and we have not focused on it at all. So how can we expect to compete with them in a day? We'll have to build up slowly, properly. First is we have to recognize the importance of this, because we mainly have been raising demands on economic grounds, or which are correct. But this also has to run parallelly, that I think we have ignored, and we are suffering because of that particular thing today.
Thank you, Comrade. I mean, it will be a very difficult task for Comrade Shankar Das to, match up the energy level you have produced. So thank you, Comrade. Now I invite Comrade Shankar to give us some more insights into the topic. Welcome, Mr. Shankar.
Okay. My voice is clear, audible? Comrade Vijaylaxmi, I am audible?
Yeah.
Okay.
You are
Okay.
audible, but it's a bit, some noise is coming in.
Noise is from the surroundings. So, comrade and friends. So, I like to thank Comrade Vijaylaxmi for her fantastic introductory presentation, followed by a magnificent speech by Puniyani ji sir, and also a very good that is question and answer session, interactive session. So now it is after a speech of Puniyani ji sir, it is always very difficult to say to go into the subject because very few things are left. So, but I like to put forward some practical experiences because the subject includes the challenges in front of the caste annihilation movement, and what are the challenges we are facing. That is when we are trying to organize a movement like Caste Annihilation Movement. So, what are the practical problems we are facing in the field? That is also one of my point to present. So, before going into that thing, so I like to say one or two things on Ambedkar, how we see him. From our organization of Caste Annihilation Movement, that Ambedkar had a departure. That is an extremely remarkable thing in Ambedkar than his previous leaders, precedents. That is, he made a departure when he declared that my struggle is a political struggle, and that is a political struggle of the Sudras. In the introduction of his very famous book, Who Were the Sudras, he wrote it very clearly that my struggle is a political struggle, and this is basically a political struggle of the Sudras. The political struggle of the Sudras, what does it mean? It means to snatch the power from the Brahminist forces to the Dalit people. Dalit people means, for Ambedkar, very rightly Ram Puniyani ji sir said that the Dalit people basically were the working class and the toiling masses of our country historically. So when he said that the political power must be snatched from the Brahminist forces, and this is the motto of the political struggle of the Sudra, he made a political departure, and that is why this is the significance of Ambedkar. There was a debate. The debate was going on still today that whether Ambedkar is a reformist or a revolutionary. So this debate is still going on, but we can see this aspect of Ambedkar that he said very clearly that his struggle is a political struggle, and the motto of the struggle and the target of the struggle is the political power. So he concentrated very much in this matter to having political power, not only just a cultural movement, not only just a social movement for movement's sake. No, movement for the political power, because so long the political power will remain in the hands of the Brahminist forces, the Dalit people, they will no hope. They will have no hope to any kind of emancipation. So this was the great thing in Ambedkar, and this is the significance of Ambedkar. Coupled with his famous theory of Caste Annihilation Movement. So this is the significance of Ambedkar, and when we are going into the field from our organization Caste Annihilation Movement, then what we are seeing today, that is a important thing. What we are seeing, see, Ram Puniyani ji sir said there is the 6 movements. There is the positive movements, progressive movements in the country, and which have the potential to change the society. Yes, that is all right. But politically, if you say politically, there are in the main there are 2 movements which have the potential to change the society. One is and the caste annihilation itself. One is the Dalit movement itself, Ambedkarite movement or Dalit movement, whatever name you use. I am using Dalit movement. So the Dalit movement, this is a very important movement in our country in respect to the Caste Annihilation movement. And another movement is the communist movement in our country. That is also, this communist movement has the potential to change the society, and especially the Caste Annihilation movement. Communist Party declared that is the abolition of caste. So they used a different word, abolition, and Ambedkar used another word, it is annihilation. Both of the words aimed at the same target, that is annihilation of the caste, or eradicated the caste division. So this was the target of both the movements. So when we are in the Caste Annihilation movement, we have comrades and friends from both these streams. We have our friends from Dalit movement, and we are having our comrades from the communist movement. So when we are seeing in the field that what is today, what is the situation? If you judge these two movements separately, then what is the scenario today? We will see that both the movement are splitted into many groups and the parties. So this is one of the great difficulties facing by both the movements. This is movements what Ambedkar introduced, the political movement of the Sutras, and he established that ILP, Independent Labour Party, and later on Confederation, Scheduled Caste Confederation. Then it was now it is splitted in many groups and many parties. Similarly, the communist movement, that is also splitted into many groups and many parties. So this is one of the problem which we are seeing, we are facing today. Rightly said by Ram Puniyani sir that unity is a very important thing. Marching separately, strike together. So this is, and today what is the situation? Situation is marching separately and strike separately. So this is happening. This is the scenario. So in this scenario, unity within the communist movement and unity within the Dalit movement under a certain specific program of caste annihilation and other things. This is very important, and we are facing that this is not in the same. So this is one problem. Second problem is widespread opportunism in both the sides, in both the movements. When we are talking and having discussion and interacting with the, say, the Dalit organization, we see that today there is identity politics is there. Ambedkar was for annihilation of the caste eradicated, and the abolition of the caste division itself. This was Ambedkar's motto. But now we are seeing that the very influential section of Dalit movement, they are not interested in caste annihilation or caste abolition. Why? Say, I am giving one example. That is, I remember that after the demise of Mother Teresa in Kolkata, the Sister Nirmala became the Supremo. So at that ceremony, that journalists and the press people, they asked Sister Nirmala that you are working for the poor, but the percentage of poor people in our country and in the world, that is gradually decreasing. And somewhere it is very fast decreasing, and at a certain point of time there will be no poor. Then what you will do? So very spontaneously and instantly, Sister Nirmala said that no, I will not believe that poor people will remain. That is, this poverty will not be eradicated, and poverty will remain. And that because that is why our significance of our presence and our working, that will remain intact. So, so this is the thing. If the caste division is not there, is a caste really annihilated, then the opportunist leaders of the Dalit movement, what they are seeking their fortune using the caste movement, casteist movement or caste movement of this type of identity politics, what they are doing today, seeking their fortune in politics. So they will be in soup. So that is their, that is why they are not much interested. That is not all, but a section of very influential Dalit leaders. That we are seeing this problem in the Dalit movement. Similarly, in the communist movement, if you see, in the communist movement also, there is a widespread opportunism. In the whole communist party movement, CPI, CPIM, CPIML, if you see the whole thing, if you see that, then you will understand that a revolution, a revolutionary change of the human society. So a departure from this original notion and the actual target of a communist party that we are seeing. So as a result, we see that a soft Hindutva gradually hold its domination in all sort of mainstream parties, that is ruling parties. It was quite natural, but at the same time in the communist movement also, this is a most unfortunate thing, that is in communist movement also, this opportunism, this soft Hindutva, these all things are Brahminism, casteism, all type of things, sexist attitude, all these things are going on rampant. If I use this word, I think that this is true, because there is no check and balance system. Ideologically, if there is no fight, ideologically, if there is no counter attack, then what happens? You have to surrender to the Brahminism and the Brahministic ideology, because this ideology is the ruling class ideology. And what Marx said, that the dominating ideology in the society is comes from the dominating class, dominating social forces. So in our society, since the dominating forces till today, they are the Brahminist forces. So their ideology, the Brahminism, is also a dominating ideology throughout the society. So it's very strong counter attack from the part of the struggling people, especially these two forces, this Dalit movements and from the communist movement, was expected. But we are seeing that there is great lackings in this thing. Third problem what we are facing, that is there is no unity between these two, this Dalit movement and this communist movement. Historically, we know that there was initially there was cooperation. Sometimes when Ambedkar was there, Ambedkar communist relation was going through, sometimes through cooperation, sometimes through contradiction. However, the problem is that the what it was indicated, not elaborated, but indicated by Puniyani ji sir, that the communist party, they are did extremely fantastic work. A lot of glorious past the communist party has, but one of the very important failure of communist party is to understand the country where they were deputed to revolt, to change the society, to understand the society, understand the country, understand the history. So this is a very important lacuna of communist movement. However, if we see that in case of Ambedkar, this is another significance of Ambedkar, that when Ambedkar developed his theoretical edifice, he tried to understand the historical continuity of Indian scenario, society. From in his magnificent write-up, that is Who Are the Sudras, he summed up all Brahmanical literature, and he showed that who are the Sudras. You may agree or disagree, but what he did, he tried to catch the continuity of Indian society. That is a very important thing. So the relation between Buddhism and Ambedkar, it was not an accidental thing. It was it is a deep-rooted relation, I believe. So it was also rooted to understand the Indian history. If you read the very fantastic book of Ambedkar, that is Revolution and Counter-Revolution in Ancient India, then you see how he described the Buddhist upsurge as a revolution, like French Revolution. Ambedkar was very fond of French Revolution, and he said that Buddhist revolution was French Revolution, like revolution in India, and the monoism or Manusmriti, it appeared as a counter revolution, and the age of counter revolution continues. So, this is the seeing the history in its continuity. So here the Communist Party has this lacuna. So therefore the problem definitely came up, and there was no very strong unity could not be built between Ambedkarite movement and the Communist movement, and till today. That is the most unfortunate thing, that till today, that very feeble initiative, I should not say no initiative, but a very feeble initiative was taken by the intellectuals, ideologues, and the leaders from both the camps. Therefore, as a result, a deep-rooted mistrust remains in both the sides. When we are talking to the Dalit friends from the Dalit movements, they have a we feel that they have a very deep-rooted mistrust to the communists. And when you are talking to the communists, we will feel that communists are not giving much importance, that much importance to the Dalit movement. So this type of things is remaining. So as a result, these two most important movements in India against caste annihilation and caste politics and all sort of unjust in the society, these two important movements are still today are remaining separate. So that is one of the biggest challenge we are facing today in the practical life. So when we try to build up our organization, Caste Annihilation Movement, by the comrades from the Dalit movement and the communist movement both, then we tried continuously to upgrade our understanding that what are our past lacunas, because understanding past, sometimes it is said that forget past, etc. But what our understanding is that understanding lacunas, what we did in the past, and if we cannot rectify those errors, then we cannot go ahead. So in order to going ahead and to unite these two important movements in India, we need to understand what were the problems, what are the mistakes we did in the past, and then only we can rectify those mistakes at present, and then we can build a correct or a right or just future through our movement. So here comes the fourth challenges, that is extreme theoretical ideological chaos that is prevailing all over the struggling camp. Struggle is not only the struggle, physical struggle. Physical struggle, yes, physical struggle is a very important thing. But a correct physical struggle cannot be done if the theoretical struggle cannot be done, did not carry forward properly. Without the theoretical struggle, without the theoretical understanding, very clear theoretical understanding, no action will be correct. So this is said by both by Buddha and Marxist leaders like Marx and Lenin. Lenin, the very famous Lenin speech is there, that without the revolutionary theory, no revolutionary movement is possible. This is a very famous speech by Lenin. And Gautama Buddha, he also said the same thing 2500 years back. He said that the ignorance is the mother of all sufferings. if you understand this thing in such a way, in this angle, that if we do not have the right approach to the society, if we do not have the right point of view, then all of our action, whatever we do, and most vigorously we do, most harm we will do, if our thinking is not correct. So we are seeing the widespread theoretical ideological chaos now in both the camps, in Dalit movement and in the communist movement. If you see Ambedkar, what he did, Ram Puniyani ji sir said very correctly that his writings are massive. He wrote a lot of things and he studied a lot of things. And study and practical work, practical struggle and theoretical struggle went hand in hand for him. And if we see the communist movement also, in the communist movement, in the past, the communist leaders and the communist party, they did the same thing. No practical work without the theoretical work. Theoretical work and the practical work went hand in hand for Lenin. For all the stalwarts of the communist movement internationally. But what we are seeing today, that a lot of struggles are going on, lot of activities are going on, but in both the camps, there is no that type of ideological and theoretical work. Can you believe, or do you see that a person has come up from the Dalit movement and he has studied so much and writing so much with so much depth like Ambedkar? Are you seeing that? And in the same thing is happening in the communist movement also. So therefore, what is happening actually? We are continuing our mistake. We are continuing our errors. Repeating the errors, error is okay, because a person who works, he will definitely commit mistakes. But if you will not check your mistake, if you will not rectify your mistake, if you will continue your mistakes, then it is a crime. It is said by Lenin. This is a crime. And this crime we are doing. We are not rectifying our mistake. We are not analyzing our past. We are scared. When we are talking about unity, we are talking unity that is an opportunistic. We are not daringly taking up the task to analyze the mistake. If I did any mistake, self-criticism is the way out. So that is also the teachings of Gautama Buddha. So these things are not we are seeing in the scene. So in this scenario, when we are trying to develop that caste annihilation movement, from this caste annihilation movement, we are facing tremendous change. So a continuous theoretical and ideological, theoretical counter-attack, not only against monoism. There is a huge task to attack the Brahminist forces. This is a huge task. But at the same time, that a big chunk of our energy should be invested to analyze our activities and upgrade our theoretical and ideological position also. That is the two-way task in front of us. Gita very rightly said, Ram Puniyani ji sir, Gita is not only Gita is a Manusmriti, Gita is a Brahministic, okay, but Gita has a special thing in it. Gita is a justification of genocide. When the Kurukshetra war was just going to start, Arjuna asked Krishna that I cannot kill my kinsman. Then Krishna, at that time, Krishna gave his speech. That was the Gita. And the crux of this thing is that you cannot decide that to whom you will kill or not, because you are killing, but you cannot kill. So this is the theory of immortal Brahma, the Para Brahma and the Jivatma, or Paramatma and Jivatma, and the relation between Jivatma and Paramatma, and the whole Vedantic philosophy was put forward by Lord Krishna, and basically it was a justification of genocide. You cannot kill anybody, because Atma ya Paramatma cannot kill anybody, and cannot be killed by anybody. So what you were saying that you were killing, but actually you can't kill. But then you can kill. Genocide was justified just before the Kurukshetra war. That was Gita. So today, communists have a very big lacuna in this field also. They did not analyze this Brahmanistic literature, and they just forget it. They just shun it. They just putting it aside, saying that all this religious thing, we should not go into it. But if you do not go into it, you cannot analyze it dialectically. You cannot expose it, and a true attack against the Brahmanistic philosophy and Brahmanistic literature cannot be done. And this task was taken up by Ambedkar. That was very, very, very significant thing of Ambedkar. So now, today, if we can take up this thing jointly, a movement, a social movement, constituting from both the sides, this Dalit forces and the communist forces, and this movement, if this movement can take up this task to expose the Brahmanistic literature, to analyze the Brahmanistic literature and the counter-attack and the Brahmanistic literature, and at the same time rectifying our past error, upgrading our theoretical and ideological structure, then definitely a new movement, a new hope, a new silver line will come up in the society. We have started this job in Caste Annihilation Movement with our very small strength, and persons like Puniyani ji sir and a lot of other intellectuals from the society are helping us, and we will definitely will be looking for their help, continuous help in this subject, and this theoretical upgradation and the counter-attack of Brahmanistic Manubadi theoretical base of RSS. So we will very much grateful to these intellectuals of the society who are coming up with our help. So comrades and friends, this is my just short presentation. So if there is any question, then I will try to thank you.
Okay, thank you, Comrade, for that presentation. Of course, we have questions, you don't worry. So the first question is intercaste marriages the solution to caste annihilation?
Not fully, but definitely it will serve a portion of the purpose, because you know the attack, what Ram Puniyani ji sir again he indicated very correctly, that is the main attack of the Brahminist forces against the women. Why? Because when the structure they prefer, the social structure, caste divided or varna divided, varna caste divided social structure, this structure can be jeopardized by the women if the intercaste marriages are taking place very frequently. Then there is no question of this caste division, because you know that Ambedkar wrote in his book, that is Revolution and Counter-Revolution in Ancient India. He showed that before Manu, there are many important Vedic personality. They had their partners from the different varnas, like Santanu, Parashar, and there are Jajati. There are many names he quoted. But after Manu, Manu understood that, because it is a counter-revolution to counter the Buddhist revolution. And what Buddhism did, Buddhism totally rejected this caste division in the society. And when Manusmriti came and the Manuist counter-revolution came into being, then it stressed on the strict this varnashram system. And the attack of the women came as a part of it, because they understood, they realized that women is the very important social force which can jeopardize the whole system. So today, if we can promote this, yes, this will serve a purpose. But the thing is that today, after 2,500 years, today the whole system is so much institutionalized and so much interlinked with the whole social structure, economy, culture, theory, understanding. All the things are interrelated, and it formed a very concrete uh, uh, thing, structure. So just only one step will not be enough to demolish the this caste system. All the combining effort, all steps, all type of steps, the combining effort of all type of steps will necessary. I think necessary. Yes.
Your answer brought me to the next question. So, you said that the agency of the women, that is what it is supposed to be increased when you conduct intercaste marriages and also interreligious marriages. So, do you think that, once when I was talking to a friend, he was in love with a girl of a different caste, okay? But he did not want, he couldn't marry her because his parents were against that, intercaste marriage. So he was supporting intercaste marriage, but he wanted to remain in the structure of family, and he wasn't ready to go against that. So in this Indian setup, do you think that family as a structure is perpetuating the system of caste hierarchy?
Yes, there is a relation between family, not only the caste system, but all of our economic base and the superstructure. The whole society is related with the family system also. Because you know that since personally, as a person, I am a Marxist. So I can say that when Marx said that what is the base of the society? Many people later become confused and misinterpreted what Marx said, that economy, Marx, as if Marx said that economy is the base of the society. Marx did not say that economy is the base of the society. Marx said that production and reproduction of the immediate life, production and reproduction of the immediate life is the base of the society. And this production and reproduction of immediate life has twofold character. It one side there is production and reproduction of means of subsistence, that is clothing, food, that is economy. And another thing is that production and reproduction the species itself. So when you are going into this production and reproduction of the species itself, then definitely will enter the history of family, and we will see that this family along with economy similar with equal importance, it has the very big influence over whole society, the whole superstructure of the society. So the family system also is playing a very important part in our what you are saying, that is I am saying that 25 or 30 years back, when I was around 20 years of age, the Bollywood film, Hindi film, there was a trend that is rejecting the family, rejecting the society. जमाना क्या कहेगा, तो हमको आगे बढ़ना है. तो what may be the Jamana say? The family, rejecting the family. Many people from Calcutta, they left home and they tried to go to Mumbai, because there was an attraction for the young people. To rejecting family means what? Rejecting family means actually it was a symbol to rejecting the conservatism, which try to remain the society intact. So this reactionary element in the society, rejecting the reactionary element in the society, rejecting the status quo, it was equal to rejecting the family. So it was a trend of 1980s Bollywood film. But now the reverse is taking place. What Puniyani ji said rightly pointed out, that after 1980s and especially after 90s, especially with the joining hand with neoliberalism in our country. So what we are saying, the upsurge of all sort of reactionary ideology. Now today, the childs are saying that I cannot marry you, or I cannot fall in love with you because of my family. So this was quite unthinkable when I was of my age of 20 or this something like that. So this is happening actually.
Dr. Puniyani ji, would you like to make a comment? I know you're married. I know your wife will throw you out if you remain family.
No, see, actually, it is a personal choice.
It's not connected.
In that sense, just keep coming in contact. That is the beauty of industrialization and modern society, that by force of circumstances, you are dealing with people of different things, and friendship and depth of friendship comes naturally at that time. So stopping, actually, I will say the other way around, stopping the intercaste marriage or interreligion marriage is artificial in this society. Their occurrence is natural. Their occurrence is natural, and stopping them is because of the agenda. As I point out that choosing one's partner by a girl, choosing by one's partner by a girl particularly, is very against the patriarchal norms. And I did not point out this thing, that any politics in the name of religion goes along with patriarchy, and patriarchy wants to control the lives of women. And whenever there is patriarchy, they want to totally control the choices of the girl, etc., etc. So obviously I feel it is unnatural. It is unnatural in a modern industrial society. That's what I feel. And what I think Comrade has pointed out very well, I will go further to say that intercaste interreligion marriage is a natural thing. Stopping it is an ideological maneuver by patriarchal forces or communal forces.
Yes. Yes.
My next question will be to both of you. I'll ask Dr. Puniyani ji to comment first and ask Comrade Shankar to comment after that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, while even the leftist leaders at present are holding on to surnames like Chaudhary, Chatterjee, Chakrabarti, Trivedi, Tripathi, whatever, and celebrate festivals like Diwali and Holi, even after knowing what they stand for, how do we expect the Dalits to believe that we are against caste?
Yeah, that is a very good question. And the biggest example I'll tell you, Jawaharlal Nehru, who was so much for scientific temper. We always remember him as Pandit Nehru. Though in his own actions and all that, he was against all these systems. And of course, surname and all that is a second thing. But lately, of course, from last a decade or two, I feel very reluctant to celebrate festivals like Holi or Diwali, seeing the background meaning of that. But again, festivals have again two aspects. One aspect is a religious meaning, and second aspect is a social. I think what we celebrate, despite knowing the meaning of that, is a social aspect where we come close to the people in a social form that needs to be examined. But keeping the surnames, I think it should be innocuous in my understanding, because what determines your thinking is not your surname. What determines your thinking is your life action, your understanding at a different level. So surnames, of course, I won't be so objecting to, and even social aspects of festival, I will not be so much against to. But the religious meaning of those festivals, I'll definitely stand to oppose it. And of course, at one level, because of, like in Bengal, Durga Puja or Diwali all over the country. It is whatever be the story that Mahishasur and other the story. Once I went into the depth of it, one doesn't feel like being a part of it. But there is another part that unless we communicate that properly, the social meaning of that of interacting with people should not get lost in our this understanding.
Comrade, but I mean, in India, the surname is what people usually identify you by. They don't go for the first name, I mean, you say Sharma ji ka beta when the first time you say dialogue, not you don't call Ram Sharma ka beta. So that is,
see, there I will say, this process of secularization has not gone far in India. Like in US, if you see, in Britain, generally people are addressed by their first name, Thomas or John. Here, addressing people by first name has two problems. One is that it is not supposed to be a sign of respect. While names are meant to be used to be called like that, but here probably because of, this is a difficult question, probably because of the persistence of secularization process not being complete, probably those trends are continuing in the society where surnames do carry a equal weight, etc., etc. While it should go away, I think.
Don't you think that until a time comes when it is not gone away, we as leftists should avoid using surnames?
Very good, very good. See, there is a good deal of friends in left movement, particularly the socialist movement. They don't use their surname. Like one of my friends is there. Her name is Lata PM. Lata PM. P stands for her mother's name. M stands for her father's name. So Ravindra RP. Ravindra RP. Ravindra is his name, and R is his mother's name. P is his father's name. So many people, I think this is a very healthy trend, and I support what you are saying. We should also try to have our names popularized in that particular way. But by the time we come up, all our school certificates are ready, and those things are there. So that creates a practical problem. But having understood it, many of my friends in Maharashtra are using names like this. So yesterday only I had a webinar where Lata PM was the convener, the way you are convener today. So she, Lata Pramila Madhukar. Pramila is mother's name, Madhukar is her father's name. So that is a good pattern. That's a good pattern.
Okay, Comrade, now I'll move on to Comrade Shankar and let him answer the same question. Comrade Shankar, do I need to repeat?
No, that is okay. But actually, see, Comrade, the whole thing is very much complicated also. That was rightly said by Puniyani sir. That is this is a very complicated thing. Actually, the communist people, they did that. They son, that is a sacred thread of the Brahmin, they rejected and burned. So and rejecting the religious program, religious gathering, and religious festival. So they all they did, and they are continuously a large section. I will say that large section of them, they are doing that. They are not participating in the religious program and the religious ceremonies, religious any kind of thing. So, but the problem is that is in our country, you know that. What Rampunani sir said, that is actually all these things are so much institutionalized, socialized. Say in our society, all the say if you are from a Hindu family, then most of the festivals are related to the Hindu religion, and if you are from the Muslim family, then most of their social festivals they are related to the Islam. So these things are now today. That was the culture of our country. That again, I am saying that Rampunani sir said and indicated that this is a culture. This was a culture of our society that mixing, participating both the communities or all the communities in a festival of a particular community and making it not only limited, not only within a community. It was a general social ceremony, converting it. So this was a practice in all sort of things. In Bengal, I am from Bengal. So in Bengal, we are seeing that this is the long history of this type of mixing, and there are a lot of songs also which are saying that in the past how beautiful our lives were. In our festival, a Muslim is singing that our festival, the Hindu people used to join, and they used to invite us in their festival. So making the festival not only for the Hindus or Muslims, but the whole of the village. So this is the automatic culture and the spontaneous culture in our society, and this culture was broken consciously by the colonial forces, British and all. That was said by Rampunani sir. So now, what is the problem? Problem is that all big festivals are related with the religious meaning, religious ceremonies, and this type of thing. So demarcating, separating, say a festival from its religious thing is very difficult. So many people I see, although they are not religious people and they are atheist and they are against religion and they are signing all type of religious activities and religious things, but they some kind of participation in the process is taking place. So long until and unless the whole society radically changed, this problem will remain. But the fight against that, even the individual fight against that is also very important. That is shunning the surname. You will face the problem. I know that one of the communist couple, one of my communist friends, couple, they named their child in the name of a river. The first name and the surname, both of the name they took from the name of the rivers, and but faced huge difficulties to get her that child to get her admitted in the school. At the time of admission, that the authority, when the name was written and in the form, they was some kind of terrified. Yeah, what type of name it is? What type of people you were? So, so this type of things are happening in our society every day, in every state. You will have to face a huge difficulties in if you go for your passport. And if there are two rivers name, first name from a river, Ganga, Jamuna. So nobody will believe you, nobody will trust you. So this type of things are there. So huge difficulties we are facing. But the passport is required for some for many reasons. Say you have to participate in a conference of international conference or something like that. You have to go. So passport is required. But your name is Ganga, Jamuna. So there is a problem. So these type of a lot of difficulties are there in the society. So in spite of that, all individual battles, individual struggles are important, but you cannot bank on it. So solely you cannot bank on it. You have to develop the radical movement, the movement which have the potential to change the whole society radically. If you cannot develop this type of movement, with only the individual effort, just rejecting the surname or something like that, it will not possible to demolish the whole structure. But at the same time, I am repeatedly I am saying that it is very important for all individual efforts, all individual struggles, single effort. That is very important also. But it is not sufficient.
When this, discrimination or increasing atrocities against minorities started, there was this image that was in circulation, on the first stage of filtration, that is during the CA and RC riot. I mean, before the riot, in time of filtration, there was this filtration system. The first system is, on the basis of minorities, and after that, that is on the basis of caste, and after that, it is on the basis of complexion. Do you think that is really a start of such a trend that is happening?
Yes. Actually, you are one thing was discussed by Puniyani sir. That is the why Uttar Pradesh. We are talking about Uttar Pradesh. The importance of Uttar Pradesh. See, this is the culture of this is the Vedic culture. The Vedic culture, that is a dominating culture till today, and especially it was promoted. It is promoted by the saffron fascist forces. The Vedic culture is basically a culture of white people, male. Vedic people, they did not have important female goddess. If you come to Kolkata, you will see Durga, Kali, and the whole this section, this god and goddess, they are dominated by the female in eastern side of the country. But if you go to the north and the northwest side, this side, which was called Aryavarta, where Aryan people, they established their dominance. This is Aryavarta. This Aryavarta basically was dominated by the Aryan culture. This Aryan culture is the culture of the white people. This culture is culture of the male, and this culture is basically idealist, philosophically idealist. So today we also see the same continuation, and promoted heavily by the fascist forces. That is male in the Vedas. If you study Rig Veda, what Rig Veda is saying, there is a very much violent against those who were not non-Vedic. At that time, the idol worshippers were non-Vedic, and these Vedic people, they were not idol worshippers. So the opposite. Today, the Muslims, they are not idol worshippers, but the Hindu, this thing, they are idol worshippers. But at that time, the Vedic people, they were not idol worshippers, and the non-Vedic people, they were idol worshippers. So they are saying in the Rig Veda, so let the idol worshipper destructed, kill them, let them drown in the water. So all this type of violent expression against them there. So this continuation is there against minorities, religious minorities, and all. This type you will see the same kind, with this with the continuity. This same kind of vigor or violence you will see against this minority people, against the women, against the minority, and against the dark people. I mean the skin color. So this is the continuation of the Vedic culture, and later it was heavily promoted by the Vedantic people philosophically, and then Sankaracharya. Before Sankaracharya, there are a lot of other teachers in the Vedantic sect, and then Sankaracharya, and after Sankaracharya, via Vivekananda till today RSS. So this continuation, this is actually very much biased. To the male biasness is there. Indra, what Indra did in Rig Veda, very much glorification of Indra in Rig Veda. And what Indra did, there was a battle against Indra and Usha, and Indra defeated Usha and raped her. And this was said in Rig Veda with much celebration, that how Indra raped Usha. So all this type of thing is a part of Vedic culture. So this culture is continuing today through RSS, through the fascist forces, and they are taking it in its highest peak.
You rightly pointed out Vedas, and Puranas, because when I used to read it, I used to think that, one time this Indra goes and rapes some Maharshi's wife, and he repeats the same, and then, Mahavishnu, Narada has to go to Mahavishnu, and then he has to come and save him, or otherwise he gives him a curse, and then that becomes a story. So this goes on and on, So this is like Old Testament of Indian Puranas.
Yes.
All you see is this type of incidents. That's it. There is no role of the women being played over there, even during Vedic times also. The only names that we hear during Upanishadic times are of Gargi and Maitreyi. No other women are being mentioned. They're not, allowed to study also. So yeah, you mentioned it right. So my next question is to Dr. Ram Puniyani. So, sir, we have seen that these days, when you said that this Kamandal politics that was rising, there was also this BR films. I don't remember whether it was Mahabharata or Ramayana that was being shown every Sunday in the morning. There used to be, पूरा सन्नाटा चल जाता था, मतलब घर के अंदर ही लोग रहते थे, ऐसे करके रहते थे. So that's how it used to be. So ever since then, there has been a rise of religious entertainment sector, in either in the form of series or in the form of films. It has been on the rise. And this has led to a different set of icons for the youth and the children. Because in the beginning, we had icons like Nehru or Ambedkar. We used to be attached to them. But after that, we used to get attached to, people are so fond of having tattoos of Shiva having ganja or, all sort of wild stuff they're having. So they have got icons like this on one hand, and why aren't we able to, provide icons, alternate icons? Because I remember a time when our icons used to be Che Guevara, or somebody of an intellectual caliber, not like this. These are mystical.
See, as I told you, the decade of 1980s, lot of things which promoted religiosity came up. One is this Ramayana. First, Ramayana serial went on every Sunday. There was a curfew on the road. Then Mahabharat followed. Then similar serials followed. Then there is another two things which we don't realize. One is that there is a press called Gita Press in Gorakhpur, from where Yogi Adityanath comes. Now they come out with very small, slim books based on Manusmriti and Rigvedas and Vedas. Like one book I came across was भारतीय महिलाओं के कर्तव्य, भारतीय नारी के कर्तव्य, means it's a small book. And you know what is the print order? Print order for the book was 5 lakh copies sold. I, as a author, struggle to sell my 1,000 copies. And here this book costing 5 rupees, 80 pages, and giving all Manusmriti things in a simple language. So Gita Press has played a role. Then you remember Amar Chitra Katha. I never realized this before, but Amar Chitra Katha also became very popular, and it has also a sort of a Brahminical tilt to the most of the stories. So this count. Actually, I feel like calling all this. There is a direction I want to say that 1947 independence was a sort of a mini revolution, which unleashed the path of slight equality for women, Dalits, Adivasi workers. Slight. Don't misunderstand me. I know comrades cannot compromise anything short of October Revolution. I know that. So that was a mini revolution, and then there was a counter revolution which came up in this form, which is in the form of what? Babri Mosque demolition, then Gita Press books, Ramayana, Mahabharat. So that is actually, as a comrade referred to, Buddha's coming as revolution, Manusmriti coming as counter-revolution. So sometimes I feel like saying that in 1950s, we saw a mini revolution where Nehru said, these are our dams, industrial development to add, and universities. These are our temples. And after 1980s, people are saying, oh, our temples are underneath the mosque. So break the mosque. And along with that, all these narrations, which are changing our national icons. Now, like you see, Gandhi, whatever we have a lot of criticism of Gandhi, but Gandhi definitely played a strong anti-imperialist, anti-colonial role. Now, even Gandhi is not much respected. Nehru is strongly demonized. Ambedkar, they have to forcibly remember, because without that, they can't get the votes of Dalits. And who remembers Bhagat Singh? Occasionally, people like you and me. Of course, Bhagat Singh, I think, should be icon number 1 as we are concerned. Bhagat Singh should be our day-to-day icon and hero. But you are very correct in saying that somehow this counter-revolution is not just at the level of atrocities against Muslims, Dalits, domination of women. It is also accompanied by all these cultural things which have been promoted unconsciously. There is a wonderful book I came across by Akshay Mukul on Gita Press. I never realized it. Right from my childhood, I was fond of reading Ramayana, Mahabharat from Gita books. But then if you see, when at one station, I saw that book, Bhartiya Nari Ke Kartavya, Jati Vyavastha, Brahmano Ka Karm, all these books, and they are sold in lakhs and lakhs, comrade. We are very happy that we have distributed 1,000 leaflets. We are very happy. We are very happy that our Red Star magazine has a circulation of 500,000. And here you see that press is working from last 50 years. People go for pilgrimage to all this Haridwar, Allahabad, and women bring these books for the family. So obviously Ramayana, Mahabharat is not alone. Along with that, I'm just supplementing to what you said. You made a very correct point that this has changed our mindset also towards the Brahminical direction. And most of these values certainly give the Brahminical message at one level. Amar Chitra Katha will give the message of anti-Islam, anti-Christianity. That is another way. So all this, they are marching hand in hand from last, especially after 1980s. So at one level, I would say, as there was a counter-revolution to Buddhism, so there is a counter-revolution to our freedom movement, and that counter-revolution has come up in the form of Advani, Vajpayee, Rath Yatra, Babri demolition, and all parallel ideological constructs which have aided them very strongly.
Comrades, we are approaching the end of our time. So it was a very refreshing session, at least for me. I mean, I got to know a lot of things, and this is the first time getting to have such a session. You know, I'm so thankful to you. And I guess the viewers will also be so much grateful to you for sharing your insights. And now I invite Comrade Lakshmaya to give the word of thanks. Comrade Lakshmaya. Comrade Lakshmaya, are you not there? He was supposed to be here. Comrade Lakshmaya?
Comrade.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
you are invited
please.
to give the word of thanks.
Today, the webinar challenges before anti-caste movement in our India. The analytical speakers who are participating, and I great thanks to Puniyani sir and Shankar das who are participating in this webinar also from our Caste Annihilation Movement. I great thankful to Puniyani sir. Today there is a big challenge before us because the anti-fascist forces in our India and also political power of all states and center captured by the um, um, fascist forces. So in our India, in 1925, the Communist Party has established, and also in that time, the RSS also established. The RSS captured the political power, but we from working class or poor people or marginalized sections, we are not captured the political power. That is why there is a lack of ideological struggle in our India. That is why we try to alternate ideological struggle and alternate uh, struggles in our India. So there is a 2-point program. Ambedkar said that there are so many inequalities, the gender inequalities, cultural inequalities, economical inequalities, political inequalities. That is why we working against inequalities in our India, and also we make intercaste marriages. These are the two programs said by Ambedkar. That is why we strengthen the thoughts of Ambedkar and we followed the thoughts of Ambedkar. So I thankful to, once again I thankful Puniyani sir, because Puniyani sir is one of the great person. He is working against Hindu fascism, cultural Hindu nationalism also. He is speaking and working. That is why he is the dare person, because they are fascist forces are attacking some Pansare, like Dabolkar, and also Puniyani sir is a great person, because he is facing those forces, fascist forces. That is why I am thankful to Puniyani sir and Sankar das, and chairperson of our moderator Vijaylaxmi also from our organization, All India Caste Annihilation Movement. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, Comrade
Thank you very
Vijaylaxmi.
much. I enjoyed being with you people.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hope we continue to interact.
Okay.
Hope we continue
Yes,
to interact.
yes, yes.
And
आपको
remind
आना
me to
पड़ेगा
send by
बार-बार.
that booklet. I'll be
Okay.
with you. I'll be with you. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.